From facing high expectations of claiming the championship once again, to admitting that there were flaws he needed to work on, here's why Scottie Scheffler's secret weapon for the US Open failed. The 123rd US Open wrapped up on Sunday, June 19, 2023, with Wyndham Clark claiming his first major title. That was not the expected outcome, though. Golf patrons had their bets on Scottie Scheffler to win the US Open. He won the 2023 Players' Championship in Secretariat style by 7 strokes over Victor Hovland and 5 over Tyrrell Hatton. Scheffler won a Cadmean victory, and yet he was called a boring linksman. Luckily for him, that isn't a bad thing. Despite what many people think, golf doesn't always require that whole dramatic act we see all the time from top golfers, like Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. In fact, Scottie being boring is what actually makes him so good. He has a smart approach to the game, call it a balanced blend of self-belief and the ability to keep his pride aside where necessary. His course management skills are excellent, which help him in making smart shots. Scottie Scheffler is a strategic player, and his boring style helped his career go from a 0 for 70 level to winning 6 times out of his last 27 starts. He executes his blueprints beautifully on the field and sticks to his routine, which shows dedication and discipline. So, yes, his wins aren't that flashy, but golf is going to look boring when it's played at the highest level. Scottie was the champion in 2022 after he won his first major at the US Open. Besides just attitude and skills, a player's bag also takes a lot of trial and error to get just right. Scottie used his favorite weapon to beat Augusta in the US Open 2022, his trusted tailor-made Stealth 3-wood. But what else was in Scheffler's bag when we won his first major? For his driver, he used the TaylorMade Stealth Plus in 8 degrees, with a Fujikura Ventus Black 7X shaft. He had the TaylorMade Stealth 3HL in 16.5 degrees, with Fujikura Ventus Black 8X shaft for his fairway wood. His irons were the Srixon ZU85, with Nippon Pro Modus 3 Hybrid Tour X shaft, and TaylorMade P7 TW, with True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue X100 shafts. Scheffler also preferred the Titleist Vokey Design SM8 in 50, 56, and 60 degrees for wedges, with True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour Issue S 400 shafts. He had the Titleist Pro V1 ball and Golf Pride Tour Velvet Grip. Finally, for his putter, he used the Scotty Cameron Special Select Timeless Tour prototype. The most notable changes made in 2022 was a switch to TaylorMade's Stealth Plus driver and TaylorMade's Stealth 16.5 degree fairway wood. He is a TaylorMade staff player and signed an endorsement deal with the company, but he played with his Nike VR Pro fairway wood for a decade. The linksman hardly makes any gear changes, and if he does, he tries out all his options until he's satisfied with those changes. How has his bag changed since, though? Well, he was seen using a new putter while preparing for the 2023 Open. The golfing pro rarely makes mistakes, but he knew he needed to improve his putter. Unlike Jordan Spieth or Tiger Woods, who hardly stray away from their favorite putters, Scottie prefers to change up his flat sticks. Leading up to the Open and ahead of the Century Tournament of Champions, he asked the Cameron team for a 2-degree flatter version of his Newport 2. Fortunately, he liked it better for his stroke. The new putter was without the weights in the sole, but then he added what seemed like 2 5-gram weights and continued testing it. Regardless, since signing the deal with TaylorMade, Scottie has also been spotted playing with TaylorMade prototypes that haven't been released yet. His bag in the 2023 season had almost all the same equipment, which means he was happy with what he already had. Scottie knows what works for him and what doesn't. But what was even bigger news than seeing him test out new putters was the PGA Saudi merger announcement. There was an already ongoing fight for 2 years between Saudi Arabia's Live Golf and PGA Tour, but the war's been called off, with an announcement that the two arch-rivals decided to join forces instead. This came with a lot of heat for the PGA Tour, with fans claiming they were wrong for going ahead with the merger. It's been called a hypocritical move. The PGA Tour has been accused of taking Saudi blood money and possibly joining in on their sports washing. In one of their previous lawsuits, the PGA Tour itself accused Saudi Arabia of offering athletes insane bags of cash to sway as many players as they could. Liv doesn't have to worry about those lawsuits anymore, though, since one of the conditions of this merger was that the PGA will withdraw all of their court cases against the Saudi-backed tour. Their agreement also includes shaking hands with the DP World Tour, better known as the PGA European Tour. The The three of them will be combining their commercial businesses and rights into a new for-profit company. Now, this might not have been the outcome anyone wanted to hear, but you can't deny it doesn't come with some benefits too. Financial analysts believe the Saudi merger has great potential. It can elevate golf on a global scale, giving it newer, better resources to expand the fan base. PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan stated, "The game of golf is better for what we've done today." But sports talk show host Rich Eisen strongly disagreed on behalf of the community, saying, "This is Saudi Arabia buying the PGA Tour." Golf patrons online continue to voice their anger toward the Saudi merger deal. The hypocrisy is obvious. The PGA Tour takes the Saudi money after 2 years of grandstanding against it, said sports reporter Pat Welter on Twitter. They sold their soul to #LiveGolf, and where it's really going to cost them in control, because the person signing the checks always wins. Well, that's rough. While Saudi Arabia's sports washing was at its peak, just before the 2023 US Open, it also generated serious attention toward the organization. The game was surrounded by a heavy, disappointed aura. As for the players, it may have thrown them off their A-game, or at the very least, kept them on edge. Sadly, we may have seen how the negativity may have affected Scottie when he walked away from the Open without a trophy in hand. Despite patrons cheering him on for his second major win, it was Wyndham Clark who won his first major title, closing out the 2023 US Open at Los Angeles Country Club. The odds were in Scheffler's favor. He is extremely familiar with the LA Country Club's field, especially when it's where he helped defeat the British and Irish teams in 2017. If it wasn't the merger on his mind, people think changing his putter was why he lost. When putting was already a weakness, changing his flagstick specs just before the Open was a bold move. Maybe he should have stuck with his older equipment and tested out newer ones well before the next Open. The player left tied at 10th at the Masters and still has 9 top 10s in the last 4 years, with 8 being from the last 3. Even though fans think his putter did him dirty at the US Open, Scottie himself thinks his equipment's innocent. Instead, he actually blames himself for underperforming at the Open. He thinks he wasn't sharp enough, and that Clark fully deserved to be a champion this time. He still managed to push himself further up the world rankings, though, at 70, and ended the week 3 strokes short of Clark. Scheffler said he did an excellent job keeping himself up on the board, but not enough to move up further than what he wanted. He tried to hit good shots and get some looks, but didn't give himself enough opportunities for birdies on the front 9. He also bogeyed 11 and 12 on the back 9, and believed that too hurt his momentum. Scottie also said that it's tough out there to make putts. At the PGA Memorial, the player said he had an off week on the green, or he would have won the Open once again. Well, it is safe to say that we can see why the Texan golfer is so loved. He might play gracefully and quietly, but he's deadly on the field. And although he says he didn't play with his best foot forward for the US Open this year, there's an equal chance that his equipment might have failed him. And there you have it! From admitting that there were flaws he needed to work on, to facing high expectations of claiming the championship once again, that's why Scottie Scheffler's secret weapon for the US Open failed.